All right, if we can call this meeting to order, please. Well, first order of business is to swearing in of new officers. So if the newly elected officials will step forward here, our city clerk, Deanna DeGarmo, will swear you in.
Aren't we all supported?
Oh, no, just the new, yeah.
You're already in.
I know. That's my business, Keon. No, okay. I thought you said we all. Why are you all? Oh, because you're, yes, got it. Never mind.
Will you all raise your right hand and Councilwoman Cleveland, will you please state your name for the record?
Karen Cleveland.
Kevin Jackson,
Yolanda Campbell.
Rick Nelson.
Okay. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and uphold the Constitution
that I will support and uphold the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
the Constitution of the State of
Missouri,
all applicable laws and of the State of Missouri,
all applicable laws
of the state of Missouri,
and the ordinances of the City of Normandy.
and the ordinances
of the city of Normandy.
And I will faithfully demean myself
and I will faithfully
demean myself
in the office of council member
in the office of council member
of the City of Normandy,
of the city of Normandy,
to which I was elected, so help me God.
to which I was elected, so help me God.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Hey, Sylvia, sir,
Right.
shake your hand before you sit down. Thank you.
So good to have somebody sitting beside me. Man, I haven't had nobody sit in this seat for years, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
We should be unmuted already.
Good journey. It's been a good journey.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Cleveland? Present. Councilman Saxonheimer?
Here.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Evans?
Present.
Councilman Nelson?
Present.
Councilman Hahn?
Present.
Councilwoman Marasso?
Present.
Councilwoman Campbell? Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So there was an oversight on the agenda. I failed to...
Vision statement?
I didn't bring it with me, I apologize. There was an oversight on the agenda. I failed to put in the election of the president pro tem of the council. So if someone would make a motion to amend the agenda to make the first order of business the election of president pro tem.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I will take nominations. Oh, for the new members present, the president pro tem of the council will preside over meetings in my absence. That's primarily the job duty. So I will at this time entertain nominations for the position of president pro tem of the council.
I nominate Yolanda Campbell.
Yolanda Campbell's been nominated.
I nominate Councilperson Evans.
Thank you, sir.
Tony Evans
I nominate Rick Nelson.
and Rick Nelson. Are there any other nominations? Nominations are closed. Now, instead of voting separately on this one, I'm going to have a roll call and just state your choice to the person you'd like to see in the position. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Nelson.
Councilman Saxonheimer?
Evans.
Councilman Jackson?
Evans.
Councilman Evans?
AE.
Councilman Nelson?
Nelson.
Councilman Hong,
Evans.
Councilwoman Rosso,
Yolanda Campbell.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Campbell.
And clarify for me, please, the vote for Tony Evans.
Just a note of clarification, Councilman Evans, were you voting for this?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
great.
ma'am.
There were 3 council members voting in favor of Councilman Evans.
That's 4.
That's 4.
Oh, 4, I'm sorry.
Yep,
Oh, yes.
Having
I
4
do see that, I
votes.
apologize.
yeah, having 4 votes, Tony Evans is,
I am.
has the position of President Pro Tem of the council.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Really appreciate you guys' confidence.
All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the April 11, 2023 regular city council meeting minutes?
Make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the April 27, 2023 city workshop meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, if there's any citizens that would like to, did we sign up for,
Oh, I
Sit-
did not see one.
if there's any citizens that would like to approach the podium and make a comment, please.
Hi, I won't take too much of your time. My name is Alex McCarthy. I'm the communications coordinator for the Community Impact Network. We're a nonprofit foundation based in Wellston, but we fund or support more than 70 nonprofits and organizations that serve the whole Normandy Schools collaborative footprint, including the Natural Bridge branch of the library next door. But yeah, I just wanted to, we just haven't been very visible in the communities that we serve, so I wanted to swing by and hopefully drop off some brochures, if I can put them on the table.
That's good.
In case people are curious about what some of the organizations that we support do, and I'll leave my card too in case
Thank
you
you,
guys
sir.
have any
Thank
questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Moving on.
Oh, here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dr. Stacy Parker, 7815 Faraway Drive. All right, just to kind of introduce myself. My family's been in Normandy for over 30 years. It's been a great place to live. I just returned home 3 years ago. Didn't expect to get involved the way I have been as of late. So I've become the point person for our part of Ward 2. We were out representation for a couple of years, I believe. So right now I have been volunteered or taken on a position of neighborhood watch captain, in addition to like the general catch-all for all questions. And so understanding that we have a new person that just got sworn in, just kind of want to like invite you to our neighborhood watch meetings and so you can meet the people. Like no one really knows who our new person is, and we are all kind of nervous because we don't want to repeat of the last couple years. To that end, some of the issues that have come up as of late is that there are 2 pit bull dogs in our neighborhood, and I got pictures and addresses of these. That was one of my tasks, and so I guess I just need to know where to send this information. Would it be the code enforcer? I don't know. We're also kind of hearing a lot of gunshots in our double cul-de-sac area, and we're calling the police and everything, and we don't really see we don't see the follow-up, although I'm gonna give it a bit of the fit of the doubt that there is some follow-up, particularly when we had a guy, Jason Bourne style, run up our street shooting at someone and blew out tires and windows and everything. So, but that's just all to say that we're happy that we have a new person representing us. Tony, thank you very much for stepping in the past few years and hearing a lot of the concerns that we had.
Big war for one person.
Yeah, it's a huge work. But yeah, just welcome and hopefully we can kind of partner on some solutions. But again, I have a lot of I have 2 jobs. I'm on 2 boards, 1 state board, and I'm reaching my capacity to kind of make myself available to this community. So, but I do tend to stay involved, but again, welcome aboard, so.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Doug Aiken, I'm 7728 Augusta. I'm here to talk about briefly the community garden. We have plenty of plots available. It's over here at the corner of Bermuda and Florissant. We've got tools that you can use, seeds, plants, whatever to get started. So if you would spread the word, if you haven't already in your wards, or if you're, I know Debbie and David was last year, but Debbie's gonna, I guess you're gonna have another plot too. It's a nice place to get away from all the hustle and the bustle. I had one other thing to tell you. The Historic Preservation Commission, one of the members has arranged a tour of the Campbell House, and because I'm an old person, I forgot what the date was. So it's in June sometime. Again, everyone is invited to come on the tour of the Campbell House.
You had said that it has connections with Normandy history.
Yes, there's a Hutt family and
And that's
founders of
Wayside.
Normandy.
That's Wayside, correct?
No, the Campbell House is
Where's his house?
downtown. I think there'll be a blurb that will get out to you some way or another.
I'll forward it. Just send
Yeah.
me some information,
Yeah.
I'll make sure the council gets it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Tapped
Oh, the Campbell House downtown.
Yeah.
I thought it was on okay.
All right. Thank you. Moving on, report of officers. First, I want to address the question that was asked about pit bulls. Any ordinance violation, including pit bulls, should be going to our code compliance officer, and if he determines that it's a police issue, he'll pass it on. Secondly, groundbreaking for the USDA facility that's going next door. Wednesday, May 24th at 11 o'clock, and we expect construction to start late May, early June is the schedule for that. Second, fountain planting. Councilwoman Campbell worked real hard on getting an MDC, Missouri Department of Conservation grant to put native flowers in our garden. I learned today that the gentleman that's going to be doing the work was able to fish an irrigation line to the fountain, so we're going to have irrigation. And if the council passes the resolution accepting the contract between MoDOT and our preferred contractor, Confluence Habitats, that work will be starting on Monday.
Okay, wow.
Last item on my list is Sam and I met with Weiss Engineering Group to look at the natural bridge medians with the intention of them designing an affordable option to have these things repaired. We simply cannot afford to repair the medians that get hit. It's obscene what they charge for those. So Weiss Engineering, with the assistance of MoDOT, MoDOT recovered all the CAD files, all the drawings for Natural Bridge, and sent all that material to Sam, which saved a lot of money in engineering. So they're going to be working on an option, and we're going to present it to MoDOT, and hopefully we'll have some affordable option that we can maintain the Natural Bridge corridor. That's all I have. Is there a report from Ward 1?
The only thing we've had going, we've had the same thing as her. We've had some pit bull issues. They just open the door and let them run. And I've been told that they've been chasing some kids. I did not see it, that they were chasing 8 or 9-year-old boy down the sidewalk. So it's a little bit concerned. I was going to talk to the chief, because if it's outside, I thought it was the chief's issue. But that's the main thing that I wanted to do, is that we've got to put a stop to it before someone gets hurt.
So thank you.
I'm done. there is one other thing. I apologize. We have a young gentleman, 10 years old approximately, that is driving a small type of motorcycle, and he only knows one speed. So as he's coming around the corner, he just gives it everything that little thing's got. And what concerns me is we have a serious handful of people that use Blandford as a raceway. And I'm really concerned that this young man isn't gonna be seen and they'll just run him over like a bug. I mean, I don't know where his house is at. I really don't, or I would've went and talked to the parents. That's one dangerous place to drive that. It really is, so.
Thank you. Ward,
I'm done.
Oh, you done?
Ward 2.
Okay. Just want to bring up about the speeding on Bermuda Road, especially at Bellwood and how Bellwood.
Period.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have tractor trailers running running stop signs. Nobody stopping at the stop sign. I was sitting on the corner one day and I couldn't even make a left turn because, everybody was running stop signs. I had to creep out there and like blow my horn just so I could get through, So, you have some, Kevin?
No, I don't have.
Okay. And also what Ms. Stacy
Oh, I do have some.
brought up about the pit bulls too.
Okay.
We need to address that issue. Go ahead, I still got some more stuff. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, the lady, she left. I have a neighbor, her name is Miss Moulton. They just made a scholarship in her name. She's an ex-Normandy school teacher. I think she probably taught maybe 30, 40 years. But they just put a scholarship, a $10,000 scholarship in her name for, I have a video, but I'll share it with you all, send it to you so you can take a look at it. But it's not one of those scholarships where it's the top person. It's one of those scholarships that's like maybe a C in the middle type of
Yeah.
student. That can, I
2.5,
get it, yeah, like a 2.5, something like that. So I just wanted to let the council know. And I'm gonna probably, I'm gonna be donating myself, so if anybody would like to, just let me know. But again, I'll send you all, everybody, the video so you can take a look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I have some more. I have some more.
Oh,
Okay. Let me give you guys an update on our Redbird Rookie programs. As of right now, we have 170 kids that signed up, ages 5 to 13. We have 11 teams, and our opening date is June 3rd up at Hosea Park. So we'll be, yeah, June 3rd. First game is at 9:30. 9 o'clock. We'll be playing all day long up until like 5 o'clock. And also have another announcement. Has anybody ever heard of the RBI program? Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities? Okay.
RBI?
Yeah.
Yes. This stands for Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities. Normally has just been awarded program. And it's solely sponsored by Nike. Nike is our only and solely sole sponsor. So they'll be sponsoring the kids from 14 to 16 years old. So
What
the
does that
kids-
mean, Tony?
Huh?
What does that mean? I mean, sponsoring or the kids?
Sponsoring, they're gonna buy everything. They're
So
gonna buy
they're
the
gonna be-
uniforms, they're gonna buy the
Through Redbird
basketball.
Rookies? Through-
No, this
Oh.
is through Nike.
RBI.
Well, it's
It's another
administered,
team?
it's administered through the Redbird Rookies, but it's sponsored through Nike.
Mm-hmm.
Nike is the sole sponsor, and they just came on this year. It used to be called the RBI program, but Nike wants to call it the Nike RBI program. So when you sign up, a kid goes out there to sign up, it's gonna say Nike RBI program, City of Normandy, sign up, register here.
thank
And
you.
I'll show you guys the site. It's really exciting.
Yeah, we can put a link to it on the
Yes.
website.
Okay, that's
Thank
all
you,
I
sir.
have.
Ward 3?
Number of items. First was the 24/1 monthly meeting. The biggest takeaways from that were Dr. Triplett's report for the state of the school district. That was the majority of the meeting and the time. Dr. Triplett's only been with the school district for 6 weeks, but presenting the report of academics and the metrics that have been accumulated thus far. It's still a work in progress. It is encouraged for all community members, where possible, to try to help and encourage our children, our young people, our young adults for reading and literacy. That happens to be the biggest gap in learning, and that apparently leads to the biggest gap in all other fields of learning as well. But that is for the school district to tackle. The Murchison Tabernacle is continuing their food pantry every Monday, starting at 10:30, I believe, upwards of 1:30. I believe that their times are meant to be 10:30 to 12:30 only, but this past Monday there was a very large demand. There is a program also being spearheaded by Ameren. Sam, I think I have you copied in on that. So for our, in addition to all the existing programs that our utility companies already have in place, Ameren is actually spearheading an additional project to help out with seniors on low income with a medical need for their power to stay on so that they can still survive. There will be a community event at 9225 Lackland in Overland. That will be on Wednesday, May 31st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there will also be another event in June in Pagedale. The date and time is yet to be determined for that, and I will update Sam as well as anyone else who needs that for themselves or for their neighbors. Please contact the front desk. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you.
And David, you mentioned that was every Monday?
For the food pantry?
Yeah.
Yes, every Monday.
And what's the times?
10:30 until 12:30.
Anything else from Ward 3?
Actually, nothing other than, of course, you guys know I'm coaching the Steams Academy boys tennis team. Those guys, actually, they took the districts, first time ever in the history of their school. They won the doubles district. So that's the only thing I have. Of course, I did go see Tony in his practice a couple weeks or so ago. And he's got those guys rolling, so just take my hat off to Evans for doing such a great job with the baseball.
Thank you.
Okay, other than that, I'm good. So,
All right.
thank you.
Well, matter of fact, Rick, I had 3 kids from the STEM Academy signed up.
I know you have,
What older kids?
yeah, you got, what's his, Mrs. Scott Kane's son?
Something like that.
Yeah, you got his son. I guess
Okay.
you guys were undefeated, right, with this team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good job.
Ward 1?
Ward 4?
Or Ward 4, I'm sorry. I'm
Um,
looking at you saying Ward 1.
April 30th, Beyond Housing had in that really windy, sunny day, there were about, I kid you not, 90 people inside attending Angie's presentation, who is the specialist with our native plants, giving a presentation. It was excellent. I was working with the kids. In the back, I didn't get a chance to see all the shopping outside, but when I left, I needed to leave a bit early. There were quite a few people coming and buying the native plants and red wagoning them to their cars, so I think it was really successful. And it was good to participate and learn so much from Angie and it's gonna be a yearly event, so yeah, it was good.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank Sam for his work with the native plants, because he was a really big help. And I'm really happy that they're going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so, thank you, Sam, for that. Also, St. Louis County Library is having a small business program for previously incarcerated individuals. It's a 6-month program, so I'll give it to Kiana to put on the website. And it's basically how to start a small business, how to make a business plan, and things like that. So if anyone is interested or knows anyone who's interested who's previously incarcerated, it's a good way to start something new.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I had 2 other items. The one item is the Annie Malone Parade downtown. That's on May 21st for anyone who's interested. Again, Annie Malone, a local St. Louisan who is historically incredibly important to Black history and to St. Louis history. And then the other item was, and now I lost that also. Oh, thank you, Mayor Beckman. Thank you, Doug, and those within our 24-1 who attended the Arbor Day celebration within the 21 footprint. I learned a lot that day about native plants that I didn't know about otherwise, so that was fun.
That was a successful day.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for bringing up Annie Malone's children day.
Yes, and again, if anyone is interested, there are 2 local children's authors who live in Ward 3 with multiple books written and published by in regards to Annie Malone as well.
Thank you. City Administrator.
Just going over my written report to council, some of the items were mentioned, so I won't mention them again. Just an update on some of the public works projects that were part of the ARPA funds. The public works roof is almost complete entirely. They were out here all last week and they've been here yesterday and today. And again, they basically put an entire new roof on the public works garage, which was desperately in need of it. And then our new public works dump truck is set for delivery in early June. Again, we ordered that in March 2021, and it's waiting for that has been a large part of our issues with a lot of our services that are lacking in public works, including the leaf vac primarily, and as well as providing salt, and we want to contract out for salt during the winter season anymore. So that's going to be really big when that comes in. And again, both of those are being paid for by ARPA funds. There were 2 class action lawsuits that were settled that the city was a party of on the receiving end. One was the city of Long Beach versus Monsanto, which frankly I still don't know that much about, but we received a $17,000 check for that. And then, or is around 17. And then the city of Winchester versus Charter, which is around license taxes on certain types of phones, and we received almost around $90,000 for that. So weren't really expecting those. I know the charter one is still up for appeal and theoretically could still be taken back, but I think either way, both of those I would recommend not touching. We have some reserves that we need to replenish, and so I'd say let those settlements replenish our reserves. So in addition to that, we've been doing a lot of safety training. We had a safety training with department heads and supervisors with Missouri Employers Mutual came out. It was super informative. The mayor attended as well, and I think we all learned a lot. It was super helpful. In addition, they're going to be coming out next month and providing OSHA 10-hour training to our Public Works Department, which is very helpful, and we're also going to open it up to neighboring municipalities to attend. Because it's through our insurance, both of those trainings are free, and so really good opportunity that we're taking advantage of, and certainly learned a lot. Finally, the Boundary Commission approved the application for consolidation between City of Normandy and Village Glen Echo Park. There is an ordinance on the agenda tonight But that is, once we pass the ordinance, the only thing left, the only final hurdle is Election Day, which will be on August 8th. So unless there's any questions, and then there was a couple things about pit bulls. Please, if you see a pit bull, please let us know, and we will report it to us, and we will start a case. If it's a dog at large issue, I recommend that you call St. Louis County Animal Control. So if the dog is running around on the street, they're going to be the ones who can actually capture that dog and start a case with it. They might return it the first time, but if they keep finding it, they will seize the dog, and they have the power to do that. If it's a dangerous dog at large, call the police. That's an emergency if you feel in danger. If it's just a pit bull and just a violation of our pit bull ordinance, let City Hall know. And if we, see a pit bull in the backyard, we can deal with that as an ordinance violation. So, kind of depending on the situation, it might change who is going to be most effective to handle it. But if it's a dog at large, St. Louis County Animal Control is going to be your best bet. And I know the next is the Chief of Police report, and she's currently at a Normandy Schools Collaborative meeting. Our school resource officer is being recognized for saving a kid's life, and she wanted to attend. I know that she's going to try and be in 2 places at once, but it looks like she's not here yet. So I don't know if we want to hold her report off until she arrives, or...
We'll just put it to the bottom of the list, and if she gets here before we get through this portion of the meeting, then she'll do it before. Okay.
Are you gonna go over the consent agenda, Sam? Or?
We're not to it yet. Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Chief of Police, we're going to just delay that report. Public Works Director, as you well know, we don't have a Public Works Director. We've got some really good interviews. I'm hoping to make that appointment in the next 2 weeks, and we'll talk about that at another time. And in the interim, Sam and I are just taking turns meeting down at Public Works at 7 in the morning and getting the guys started. So that's what we'll have to do until we get a new Public Works Director. City Treasurer, Mr. Ellis.
Yes, sir. Good morning, good evening to the mayor, council persons, officials, residents, guests. So I take it you all happen to have both copies of the February and March 2023 financial reports, as well as the narratives that were provided to Mr. Johnson and Mr. Garmo earlier today. So, first, go ahead and start with the February report. First, I'll note that review is also being provided, again, as I noted, for the month of March, considering that we have received the report from the accounting firm, and it will also be presented for review at this meeting. So Part A of the February report, summary of the income statement. For the month of February, the city recorded a net income of $190,000. There was revenues of $521,000. I put an extra 2 in there, so apologies on that narrative. So that should again be $521,000 versus expenditures of $330,000. Due to that result, the city realized an overall net income for the fiscal year to date, that's as of the end of February, the first 5 months of the fiscal year, of $231,000. That's a comparison of revenues of $1.95 million compared to expenditures of $1.719 million. Okay, Part B summary of the general fund balance. You have general fund unrestricted cash balance as of February 28th of 1.46 million. And then you have general fund board designated as of February 28th of 718,000. Unearned revenue from ARPA funds of 334,000. Amounts due to the general fund from other funds of 151,000, and amounts due from general fund to other funds for 43,000. That results in a net general fund balance of 515,000. Going to part C, for the income for the general fund. Ideally, the percentage of budget remaining for income at fiscal year end should be at or below 58.3%, which would indicate that the amount of actual income was either the same or more than the budget amount of income. Fortunately, the city did outgain the budget amount for income by 141,000, or 3.3% of the total budget amount. Going down to part D, for expenditures. Conversely, the percentage of budget remaining for expenditures at fiscal year end should be at or above 58.3%, which would indicate that the amount of actual expenditures was either the same or less than the budget amount of expenditures. Fortunately, the city also did spend less than it had budgeted by more than 89,000, or 2.1% of the total budget amount. Also, when it came to the individual departments, all were able to keep expenses under budget, with the exception of administration, which was slightly below the 58.3% guideline, so to speak, and it was at 57.4%, so it wasn't too much over. That's all I had for the month of February. Any questions on that?
Any questions on the February report?
Now, I have a question. The unearned revenue from ARPA funds, is that what we have remaining, the 333?
Yes.
Okay, from the previous ARPA funds?
Yes.
So that's it? That's what, okay.
Yes.
And that was the disbursement from September, October, right? Or was that an earlier disbursement?
Oh, that's been on for a while, I believe.
Yeah, it's both.
Okay, cumulative.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you. Mm-hmm.
But that's it, Charles, no more ARPA funds, we're not getting any more. This is bottom line figure
Yeah.
here, that's it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve the February 2023 financial report?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Then we have the March 2023 report. Again, we are now officially caught up, considering that we generally would expect the financial report 2 months prior to the actual meeting that we're in. So considering this is the March report, we are caught up. So kudos to Sikis and Angela and her staff for getting us to where we need to be. Starting with the summary of the income statement for the March report. For the month of March, the city recorded a net deficit of $155,000. That's for revenues of $314,000 versus expenditures of $469,000. This deficit was mostly attributed to an injury to recognize the prepaid insurance expense that was paid in 2022 for 2023 in the amount of $146,712. Due to that result, the city realized an overall net income for the fiscal year to date for 6 months now of the fiscal year of $76,000. Comparison of revenues of $2.264 million with expenditures of 2.188 million. Going down to Part B, summary of the general fund balance. General fund unrestricted cash balance as of March 31st is 1.418 million. The general fund board designated as of March, 712,000. Unearned revenue from ARPA funds, 316,000. And amounts due to general fund from other funds, 164,000. And amounts due from general fund to other funds, 47,000. That results in a net general fund balance of 508,000. Okay. Going down now to Part C for the income for general fund. Ideally, the percentage of budget remaining for income at fiscal year end should be at or below 50%, which would indicate that the amount of actual income is either the same or more than the budget amount of income. Fortunately, the city outgained the budget amount for income by 96,000 or 2.2% of the total budget amount. Then for Part D, under expenditures by department, conversely, the percentage of budget remaining for expenditures at fiscal year end should be at or above 50%, which would indicate that the amount of actual expenditures was either the same or less than the budget amount of expenditures. Unfortunately, the city did spend more than it had budgeted by only about $20,000 or 0.5%, which is very small, of the total budget amount. And again, we are, halfway through the year, so to be at that, it's very good. Also, when it came to the individual departments, all were able to keep expenses under budget again, with the exception of administration. And I will note that the percentage for administration at this point is about 74.4% of the total budget thus far through the first 6 months of the fiscal year. Just to keep a note of that. That's all I had for the month of March.
Well, there's one that's pretty glaring here. At the very bottom, Department Administration,
Yeah.
488,000, and the prior month was 279,000. How does $110,000 get charged to administration in 1 month?
Yeah, that's probably gonna be 210. I would ask Sam.
Again, that's that
210,
insurance, and again, so he mentioned that at the top of the March report. When
Yes.
when our auditor was looking over our end of year financial statements from 2022, realized that the insurance premium for the city for the 2023 year got recorded in 2022 because the policy year starts at the same time when it should have been recorded on October 1. And so this was a mistake that actually caused our deficit for 2022 to look about $146,000 larger than it was. And so when the auditor caught that, we went ahead and recorded an entry that came up in this March report. And that's why, so it was $146,000. That's why there's such a large, it appears like there's such a large deficit for this month. Really, that should have been recorded on October 1. And to your point, it gets recorded under administration. And so
I was
that's-
unaware of that was an administration charge. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ellis?
Yeah, to piggyback off that then, so if it had been paid out in October and it was already budgeted for 2021 through 2022, that means would we retroactively have a surplus from?
We would still have a deficit, but to get what you're saying, when the auditor presents their audited financial statements, the council will be presented. We the council accepted the September 30th, 2022 statement from staff.
Right.
The auditor is going to present a new one, an audited
Revised.
statement, and it is going,
Revision.
there is going to be that one difference.
Okay.
And so the council will accept it then, and there is still a deficit because of the sanitation fund stuff, when we close out the sanitation fund, but it is much, I mean, it's $146,000 less than
Less,
it
right.
was.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Sam?
Yes,
So we're getting, the audit is for 22, right?
that's correct.
So why are there, talking about 21, finances?
Well, the fiscal year starts in 21. It starts October 1st, 2021,
Right,
but it goes to September 30th, 2022.
22.
That's pretty much the only reason. That last 3 months of 2021 is part of the entire fiscal year for 2022.
I understand, but that's why I always wanted to have an audit of 2 years instead of the 1 year, because it seems like it's overlapping.
So that would be a discussion that you all would have to have if that's something you all want to do.
Well, I've talked about it for months.
I understand.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the March 2023 financial report?
I'll make a motion. Sorry.
It's okay.
There's a motion, is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. It looks like Chief Sanders is not going to make it, so we're going to move on. The consent agenda, the purpose of the consent agenda is that we don't have to discuss these items, they're not controversial, and we don't have to have conversations about them. If there's something on there that you want to have a conversation about, or you're uncomfortable with it being on the consent agenda, the whole purpose is to save time and move the meeting along. If there's something that is of concern, any member of this body can ask that any item be pulled from the consent agenda, and we'll deal with it individually. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or concerns? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All righty. Resolution 2312, a resolution of the city of Normandy, Missouri. Oh, no, that's on the consent agenda. Let me keep moving on, yeah. My fault.
Cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Next item of business. Old business, Council Bill 23-9, an ordinance of the city of Normandy, Missouri, amending the city of Normandy Personnel Policy Manual regarding the use of marijuana pursuant to the Missouri Constitution. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-9?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or concerns? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Stutzenhomer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance
Ordinance number, please.
779.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda. The sale of vacant lots owned by the city of Normandy. Sam presented us with a plan to dissolve some of our real estate assets, and to that end, we solicited sealed bids from property owners who live next to one of our vacant lots. We have, those solicitations went out to owners adjoining 5 of our, let's see, 6 of our, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of our properties. Some we got responses, some we did not. So what I'm gonna ask for individually are motions to approve these sales. And they can we'll make a motion to have a conversation if it's required on each one individually. The property owned at, the city-owned property is 7732 Augusta Avenue, a vacant lot. We have an offer from Doug Agan for $333. Is there a motion to approve the offer of $333 from Doug Agan, subject to approval of Simmons Bank for the sale of 7732 Augusta Avenue?
Motion.
There's this motion, is there a second? Any concerns, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make it pretty, Doug.
5401 Bermuda Drive. Solicitations went out and we got offers from two neighbors. Jeremy Kelly owns a single-family residence just to the left of that property, offered $1,500. Teo Investments, 5709 Bermuda, which are the apartments right there by Hosel Park, offered $3,500. I quite frankly don't know how to put this motion, so I'll leave it out there for the council, which one you would like to make a motion to accept.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Jerry Kelly's.
All right, we have a motion, please state your motion.
State your motion.
I think we
Just
should,
did.
maybe should discuss this a little bit further.
Yeah, that's a little out of the ordinary, but I don't want to put anybody at a disadvantage by taking the motion first, but I will open the floor to conversation about these offers. So let's go down the line and just state your preference and why. Steve?
I would like to do the Jeremy Kelly because he's a neighbor and I like to expand it a little bit, the property, so that he would be able to take care of it easily and not just make it pavement, even though there is a big financial difference.
Thank you. Karen?
Jerry Kelly, for the same reasons.
Councilman Jackson?
This is a rough one.
Yeah, because you haven't been exposed to this at all. Yeah.
Really, but I know a little bit about it. As far as the apartment, I do think that the apartment probably could benefit a little bit with more parking or what have you. But I do understand the neighbor. I just wish it was some way that lot could have been split, but I guess that's not feasible, but that's my concern. The apartment, the owner of the apartments, they keep them up, keep the grounds clean, but if they can use a little bit more parking, that would help. But I do understand that the person that lives, the homeowner, wouldn't want a paved lot next to them. So if that was the case, if it was possible, maybe a fence could be put up, privacy fence or something. So that was just my concern.
Thank you. Councilman Evans?
Well, I have the same concerns that, everyone else, I mean, parking lot right next door to your house on the side, and could pose a safety issue. If the pavement was icy or slippery, that they could end up in, residents' backyard, so, I thought about it and I think, Kelly would benefit from it more because, he wants to keep it green, build a garage and somewhere for his kids to play.
Thank you. Councilman Hall?
I don't think I have enough information to decide on either one, so I'm
Okay.
kind of
That's fair.
ambivalent. But
Yep.
Yeah, I'm thinking that.
Okay. That's fine.
I've been by Bermuda and I've looked at both, and I agree with, giving it to the single-family owner, because all the reasons that have been expressed, and,
Thank you.
Same, I would like to, it's an awkward position is so close to that residential
Yeah.
property. I can't really see that, a parking lot not disturbing that.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like.
And I would just like to make
Go ahead.
one note on, if it were to be turned into a parking lot, I do think there is a zoning issue there. The lot is currently zoned neighborhood shopping, and so adding on to a currently non-conforming use of multifamily would present a zoning issue. And then you also have impervious surface, which creates more water runoff, which is something else to consider as well. Other than that, staff really has no preference on whether it's an empty lot or parking lot. Those are just two things that you might consider.
And you mentioned water runoff too, Sam. I mean, that water will run off.
Yeah.
And also,
Sam, is it feasible for you to pull up Google Maps perhaps and to show the council?
it would take a second, but.
Yeah, please.
Because I think it's pertinent to the conversation.
Yeah. I agree.
So is that piece of property is zoned residential, what is it, business?
It's zone neighborhood shopping, which is a restricted commercial district.
Yeah, so you would have to get it rezoned for.
I'll let Andy address this, but my understanding, there's gonna be a zoning issue regardless if there's any structure. If there's any intention to put any structure on this, it's gonna be a
Right, so
zoning issue.
and I'm operating on limited information here, but if the existing structure is a non-conforming use, meaning that it's been used in the way that it is currently used since prior to the adoption of the Normandy zoning code, or the most recent change that would affect it to the Normandy zoning code, then
There you go, perfect.
basically a change in the use, i.e. a change to the structure would
Yeah.
would raise issues as to what the proper or allowed use is, if that makes sense. If,
You're looking at the vacant lot, everybody, right there.
Now, see,
so it's just a.
It looks a lot bigger than when you go up to it.
Okay, so if it's a vacant lot right now, and you said it's zone neighborhood commercial?
Yeah.
Right, so I would argue that if the lot is vacant, then there is no use, right? So any attempt to develop that property would have to come within the requirements of the neighborhood shopping commercial district. And it seems like that might be kind of tough.
It seems unlikely,
Right.
yeah.
And again, the same thing would go for, and let me be very clear, because I misspoke at the workshop. It's my understanding Mr. Kelly is not intending on building a garage or anything. He just wants it to remain open space. But you would run into similar issues if they wanted to build a garage on it.
There's zoning issues.
The zoning issues would have to be worked out unless you wanted to build a deli or whatever it was. Yeah.
oh,
Right. The only circumstance in which there wouldn't be a zoning issue is really if let's say that Mr. Kelly does purchase it and then he decides to consolidate the lots together into a single lot, then the consolidated lot would have to take on, well, there would be a rezoning there. But, for example, if the neighboring lot is residential and they're consolidated. Oh, it is, well. It sounds like there will be a number of zoning issues no matter what, unless it's just.
Well, it sounds like from what I'm hearing, the council is inclined to go with the bid that would allow that property to remain green space. So is there a motion to accept the bid from Jeremy Kelly?
well, maybe we can talk to, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, finish.
Let's get the motion in a
Okay,
second,
yeah.
and we'll discuss it.
I motion.
Is there a motion to accept the bid from Jeremy Kelly in the amount of $1,500 for the vacant lot at 5401 Bermuda Drive?
I motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or concerns?
Well, Andy, you're saying that he can't come back later and sue us because he decides to change his mind and do something else over there, right?
Well, I mean, the short answer is no, right? When someone purchases property, I mean, it is subject to the zoning restrictions that are in place. And as the purchaser of property, I mean, he has no vested right in any sort of particular use, right? So no, it has to be used in conformity with the applicable zoning requirements.
I have to say, that picture is a lot larger than the lot actually is, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
And the house itself is very little yard. There's very little yard, and it just would increase
That's in the
the
front.
value of the house
It's really not in the
with
back.
a more of a yard there.
Yes.
Well, it's-
Okay, hold on, one at a time. Kevin, go ahead.
They have more, it's more yard in the back. And the garage is in the back. Then they have a platform in back by the garage. You know, so they have a pretty nice, the front has small, it's small.
Yeah, most of
But the
the houses.
back is filled with the garage,
Yeah.
there's no
It's a
yard.
platform.
Okay, one at a time. Thank you,
But that's
Kevin.
fine.
Anyone else?
I think I'm likely to change my opinion to in favor of Mr. Kelly as well.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next lot at 5304 Kirkland. Two requests were sent out. We did not get a response or an offer on that vacant lot. Next vacant lot,
Can we
50,
pull that up right quick, Mark? I
on,
mean, since we.
on Kirkland?
Yeah, since we have them out. Be nice to see them.
It's not on the list. It's not on the list.
Yeah,
You can do it later.
Yeah, let's go ahead, it's not on the
You got a
list.
long agenda, you can look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't need to see it, no, no. Okay.
All right, the next lot, 5313 Olean. We've got one bid response back from a Mr. Craig Brown, the neighbor, in the amount of $500. That being the only bid, is there a motion to accept the bid from Craig
Right there,
Brown
that's it.
in the amount of $500 for the lot at 5313 Olean?
Motion.
I'll
Is it-
second.
Motion and a second. Any concerns? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
What is it? That, I'm not to interrupt you, that's a perfect picture, that's the, it's a lot now.
yeah.
But that's the condition that the house was in,
Right.
right before the house was tore down.
That's good.
All right, the next one, the property located at 7515 San Diego. We got an offer from City Heights Investment, who owns the property next door, for $150. And we got an offer from Legends at Pasadena Hills, and that is the apartment complex, Sam?
Right.
We got an offer of $100 from Legends at Pasadena. And the same, and let's be as concise as we can. Any opinions on who we should sell this property to and why?
What was the
Yes.
reasoning of the resident? What are they gonna do with it?
Just to increase the value of the property because it's a bigger
Probably
lot.
makes sense, yeah.
I chose City Heights Investment, but it was for the value of the house, of the property.
Yeah.
Now, their parking lot butts right up against the property.
Right.
Right.
You said it right there?
So, yeah, the
Yeah, that's the parking lot of the apartment complex.
part of the narrative that Legends in Pasadena says, like, we're already maintaining everything next to it and it wouldn't be any additional work for them to maintain it.
So they're gonna come all the way over to the property line of that home, correct?
Right.
So they're not planning to do anything to it?
Well, it's still zoned residential. They'd have the same issue if they wanted
Well,
to. Go ahead, Sam.
Theoretically, Legends at Pasadena Hills could have a lot consolidation, and then it would consolidate with their current lot and become multi-family.
Okay.
And then theoretically, they could expand, they do have some land here, but again, I don't know if it's gonna be, but that's gonna work for them
Yeah.
in the market, but.
But there's an investment company that owns the property next door who said, yes, I'd like to buy this for $150. It adds to the value of my current property. So we've had one comment that City Heights Investment would be their choice. Any other comment or preference?
I would also tend to agree with City Heights if we're just adding on to a residential as opposed to the apartment complex. That seems to make a little more sense.
Now, can you rotate that picture a little bit, Sam? There's a big planter, other way. we go to the right there.
It's a dead end.
See, that's a big planter right there where the cars was cutting through from the apartment complex
Right.
and causing a big issue with the residents on that street. So a couple of years ago, you know, where the former mayor put a planter there because they was bypassing the three that was sitting there, so they was driving on the sidewalk.
Right.
Just get on their side, so that probably could be a problem too.
All right, is there a motion to accept the bid from City Heights Investment in the amount of $150 for the vacant lot at 7515 San Diego?
And City Heights is the home that's next
It's
door,
the
right?
investment
Okay.
company that owns the single family.
I'll make
next
a
door.
motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next vacant lot, 7648 Stanwood. We solicited bids, we got no response from either neighbor on that property. The next vacant lot at 3630 St. Mary's Lane, we got one response, Kenny Farrar, in the amount of $106. Is there a motion to accept the bid from Kenny Farrar in the amount of $106 for the vacant lot at 3630 St. Mary's Lane?
Motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, oh, I'm sorry.
What happens to the other two?
We will have to talk about that. I don't know if we post them on the open market now, or, but it's a good question.
So which one is it? So is that the one? Well, that'd be so.
Yeah.
Would they still be sealed bids if we post them?
So if they go on the open
Not
market.
necessarily.
Then everything is
Yeah.
open, okay. All right.
All right. Thank you. Moving on. Council Bill 23-10, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri calling for an election to consider the consolidation of the City of Normandy with the Village of Glen Echo Park. Is there a motion to accept the first reading of Council Bill 23-10?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, for this to make the August ballot, this has to get passed tonight. In order for me to have a second reading, I need a unanimous vote from the council to have this reading. Is there a motion to have a second reading of Council Bill 23-10?
So moved.
Second.
There's a first and a second, and I believe this one requires a roll call.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Motion carries. Second reading, Council Bill 23-10, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri calling for an election to consider the consolidation of the City of Normandy with the Village of Glen Echo Park. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-10?
Motion?
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Motion carries. Council Bill 23-10 is adopted as
780.
780. Thank you. All right, Council Bill 23-11, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Chapter 205 of the City of Normandy Code to allow for the keeping of chickens on certain properties. Is there a motion to accept the first reading of Council Bill 23-10?
What's the definition of certain properties?
Well, we
Make a
can make the motion in
Okay,
a second
yeah.
if you're interested. Yeah, then
Okay.
there's a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was the first?
Who's got the first? Are we good?
Sorry, I didn't
Okay.
hear.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
All right, any concerns, comments about this proposed bill?
I have when it says the state guidelines as far as supervision, but I also read that they need to comply with Normandy's ordinances. So how does that work?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just to clarify, I think you might have misspoke. You said a motion to adopt.
Motion to it, yes. And I didn't take a vote because they wanted to have some conversation about.
First reading or
First reading.
First reading, right.
Yeah, no, it should be phrased as first reading.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Accept the first reading is what I meant to say, thank you. Yeah.
So then, are they being supervised by state guidelines and Normandy ordinances? I saw state there and I thought, well, are we letting the state then?
What are you particularly, which section particularly want
Okay, I
to?
should have underlined.
I had, yeah, I saw that language in there, and we have that in a lot of our ordinance, that it complies with state or federal.
So this is, so the reference to federal and state laws is with reference to the sale of any eggs only, right? Not necessarily the keeping of chickens, right? That's governed by the ordinance. If someone keeping those chickens decides, I'm gonna sell some of my eggs, there are certain, I'm sure there are some federal regulations, I know there are certain state regulations that govern, you know, sort of, what do they call them, cottage markets. But there's a number of regulations for the sale of basically home products,
Yeah.
right? And all we're saying is that anyone who's selling eggs from a chicken in the city of Normandy has to make sure that they are complying with any sort of state regulations, whether it's a state permit, a state inspection, whatever those state regulations might be. That is the case regardless of whether or not this language is in here, right? So even if we took that language out, anyone selling eggs would still have to comply with this. We're just making it super crystal clear to anyone who wants to keep chickens that if they're gonna be selling eggs, they need to make sure that they're
So do they
consulting.
need to turn into City Hall a document from the state if they're selling eggs?
No, I mean, I think that the city can request, you know, proof of compliance.
Right, if
but-
it's a problem, it's something that we could address.
Right.
Okay, I just want, the other, at the top of the page, on page 2, slaughter may occur provided.
Well, at some point, they become chickens that aren't layers anymore.
So,
And
yeah,
so-
yeah,
I'm
that,
just wanting to educate myself
Yeah.
because I found that a little bit offensive.
yeah, I think.
Yeah, at some point, that's what's gonna happen.
I think it's like 3-year max, and then they stop laying eggs.
Okay, so the person doing that does that? The person
Who's ever
raising the
managing
chickens?
those,
it's-
that chicken, yes.
So,
Okay.
so my next question is, so you said some areas or some, I mean, is this for any?
Right, in some areas, it's spelled out in the ordinance that it's for educational institutions with 5 acres
So
or
we're
more.
talking just schools?
No residents.
No residents, okay.
Yeah, not residential.
Yeah, this is for educational institutions that have a minimum of 5 acres.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
And just to be clear, you know, if there are any individual provisions of an ordinance that any council member might be uncomfortable with, you know, there can be motions.
Hang on,
There can be motions to amend, things like that. This is not necessarily an all or nothing, yes or no vote on the ordinance. That's the point of the debate and the conversation.
Right.
So.
I've got 3 that are you
Well,
good?
I just have a request in it being, that this came, what's the backstory to this in regards to, this being,
I can give that to you. They've been operating their chickens for some time without objection from anybody, but we received from,
people may not know who you mean by that.
okay, the city, yeah, I mean, the St. Anne Church. They have a garden in the back for the kids, and they've got chickens in the back for the kids. And they've had them, I think, for probably 4 or 5 years now. Is that accurate?
Over 4 years.
Yeah. So there were complaints about, from one neighbor at least, maybe 2, because a couple of anonymous complaints about the roosters crowing. Then I got some not anonymous complaints from parishioners about the mess and the number of chickens and the crowing, and it just got, it wasn't well managed. There were way too many chickens back there that were necessary for educational purposes. Well, they were allowed to do that, I don't know why, because it violates our ordinances. So when the complaints came in, our hands were tied. We had to shut that down. We don't get to choose which ordinance we uphold and which we don't. So they were shut down, they got rid of their chickens, they slaughtered them, they were very good about it. It was just a bad situation. So we're trying to remedy that. We would like to allow the school to have chickens, but we'd like to manage that it doesn't become a stinky mess with roosters crowing and chickens running around the neighborhood. So this would allow them to have chickens with regulations that would keep any complaints down.
I would request, it's in Ward 4, and how I learned about it is from our bulletin on a Sunday Mass. And so it would just be a courteous thing to do if it's in someone else's ward to kind of give the backstory. Because I could just imagine parishioners coming up to me and saying, what, what's this all about? And so it just kind of a reminder to kind of keep people in the mix that might need to know a little bit about it before.
Yeah, I think the communication is the
Thank you.
problem, yeah.
Agreed.
Mr. Mayor, could we limit this just to the St. Anne School?
Probably not.
No,
I'll let-
no, it has to be applicable to, I mean, it has to be.
Anyone.
The ordinance has to be written in general enough terms that it would apply to anyone that satisfies.
Well, the reason why I say that is Bermuda School's down the street. And next year, if everything goes according to what I've been told, that's gonna be 4 and 5-year-olds there. Nothing else. And they're gonna fence it in with that big 6-foot fence, whatever it is, to make it compliant. That's not gonna leave them, 4 and 5-year-olds, a lot of room for chickens.
Right.
If in fact they would, is what I'm getting at. That's why I'm asking that question.
Well, it's a 5-acre minimum to have chickens.
Oh,
It-
okay.
If they have 5 acres, they would be allowed to have chickens. If
Is
you
that-
want to increase that 5 acres to a different number, that's all up for debate right now.
Is their playground 5 acres? I don't think it is.
I don't know the answer to that, but I can look and find out.
I don't think it is, but the reason why I'm saying that is I wanted to avoid a potential problem down the road.
So if Bermuda grade school wanted to have chickens, you would oppose it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, we'll do some
How do we know
research.
St. Anne's has 5 acres then? Or they're
Oh,
not,
that-
they're not asking to do this yet. So if they did ask to have chickens there, they'd have to prove that there's 5 acres back there.
No, they
Well,
have.
I will say this, if to get this to pass, we need to make changes,
Yeah.
we'll make
Let's make
changes.
Right.
I do have a couple also. First page, paragraph C, unlawful to engage in chicken breeding. It being an educational facility, does anybody have a problem with incubators and let the kids see where little chickens come? We've already limited the number of chickens, so if a few chickens get, if they hatch a few eggs, you get rid of a few adult chickens. Does that language need to be in there? Does anybody have a comment on that? No. I mean, you wrote it in there, so there's a reason, or is there a concern on your part,
Well,
Sam?
That's weird, because
To
it's
be
being
fair,
very
a lot of this language was taken from when it was going to be, there was a council bill last year,
Okay.
so there's no particular reason.
Yeah, my concern is if they want to have an incubator and make little chickens, do we care? As long as they don't exceed the 10 chicken
I mean, I would like,
threshold.
I
When I
mean, since
taught
we're having
school-
such a big discussion, can we table this and go back to the drawing board? Because
Well, we want to
we're
do
making
something.
changes as we
Yeah, making the
go.
first step.
This
Yeah,
this
it's
is
the
this
first
is actually
reading.
a good time to address those
Yeah.
concerns so we can put together a draft that will be accepted.
When I
So-
taught school, UMSL had a chicken incubation program.
Yeah.
And what happened was that when the chicks hatched, it was given to farms. So if they have this educational part, could they not, if there's more than
As long as you keep to the minimum 10
Right,
chickens, yeah.
they would just
Who
give
cares,
them
right?
away.
Yeah.
Okay. Without objection, and if there's no concerns, we'll strike that portion of this. The other is fertilizer production. I don't know why that's in there, because I absolutely know what's gonna be done with these chicken droppings.
Yeah.
They're going into the community garden. So, can we strike that? Is there any concerns with that? Last one, shall not exceed 15 feet in height. I don't want to see a 15-foot chicken coop, and I don't know why there would ever be a 15-foot chicken coop.
My father-in-law.
Oh, okay. I think
He did that once.
reduce that height down to about 10 feet in the next draft. Anybody else have any changes they want to make to this? There's a motion to accept the first reading in a
And
second.
this is only for St. Anne, but anybody else is case by case basis, right?
This is not a case by
No,
case.
it's approved.
But if you want to make it more restrictive, to make sure that there's plenty of acreage to accommodate 10 chickens, if that's your concern, we can make it more restrictive than 5 acres. If you don't think 5 acres is adequate for 10 chickens,
Well, you know, you mentioned that.
we can't make provisions that will
Well-
explicitly and intentionally
Well,
exclude someone.
Correct, there has to be some sort of really a health and safety basis for any sort of change, or, you know, if we're deciding 10 acres, 5 acres, 1 acre, whatever, right, there has to be a health and safety
Right.
rationale.
Now, you mentioned the residents was complaining about the roosters.
Right.
What's the purpose of the roosters?
Well, they're written out. They're not
No
allowed.
roosters.
They're not allowed. All right, there's a motion to accept the first reading in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. Resolution 23-16. A resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into agreements to provide court services to the city of Velda Village.
Velda City.
Velda City, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-16?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second? Is there any questions, concerns, comments about what we're doing here?
I thought we had that, did we already have that?
Yeah, we don't have Velda City.
We had Hillsdale.
Hillsdale. Yeah. All right, without comment, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 23-17. A resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Confluence Habitats and the Missouri Department of Conservation for the planting of native plants at the intersection of Natural Bridge Road and Florissant Road. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-17?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions regarding what we're doing here? The scope of this project did get scaled down because of a lot of problems with our medians right now. Right now, it's only the fountain, and we'll address in the fall expanding this project.
First things first.
Any other comment or question?
How soon?
They're starting Monday, if you adopt this resolution.
My only question was on item 6 for pathways. I think there was a math issue because we have material cost of $60, labor cost of $225, and the total came out to $330. Is there something to account for the?
Yeah, that was addressed, and I thought that was going to be corrected.
I thought it was.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was too.
Yeah, that was addressed, and they just didn't change it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm shocked that came back, and thank you for catching that twice. That was addressed on the last Zoom meeting we had with them. So,
Well, and the resolution authorizes us to negotiate further the agreement if it's in their interest, so we can get that fixed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a $55 difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Still, it's, you know,
okay.
simple math.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any other comment? All in favor of adopting Resolution 23-17?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Are still thinking.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to find it.
Did we notice officers?
I've got it.
Yes,
We notice officers.
Chief Sanders is gracious with her presence.
All right, Resolution 23-18, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, establishing the starting pay for the position of captain and major in the police department. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-18?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Comments, concerns, conversation on this?
I was just hesitant to bring it up because I didn't have enough information to really feel comfortable
Yeah,
about it,
same
but
here.
again, it's just.
Well, that's what we can
That's why I
discuss it
said
before we
discuss
take it to
yeah,
a vote.
Exactly,
Okay.
but I figured,
Well, I can give you a background on this. We haven't had the position of, although it's in the general orders, we haven't had the position of captain and major filled in some years. And if there's concerns about budget, we had a 22-year officer retired last year, and we had another 20-year veteran resign and go to another department earlier this year. There's not gonna be a budget issue. They were the highest paid police officers in the department, and they both left. So I don't see that as being an issue. We can't complete the promotion process until we establish salary.
sure.
So that's what this is about. There was some research behind it.
So basically just a order of operation thing where we could not make promotions because.
We can't make these promotions if we don't, if the council hasn't agreed on what we're gonna pay these people when they win their position. There's competition right now for these positions.
Absolutely.
And we need to establish a salary. Do you have anything to add, Sam?
I do. And these numbers were chosen to be conservative, that way, if we need to change them when we establish the pay plan, that we're not talking about reducing anybody's salary. The only thing in the MML survey, which we talked about at the last workshop, that's comparable to these positions is the pay for lieutenants. And the average pay for lieutenants in the region is almost $89,000. So, and kind of where captain starts is where sergeant isn't far from where sergeant leads off. So we want to make sure that, you know, supervisors are making more than their subordinates, just to kind of keep things right. But yeah, and I appreciate that the council is making a decision here without much information, but I assure you, we make sure that these were conservative, and hopefully they won't need to be adjusted too much, but I don't think we're gonna look back in a couple months and worry about we established these too high, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm assuming then that these are scaled based on our department size. It's comparable to other departments in the area.
I can address that. A lot of this was based on what a sergeant makes with some overtime. To make these positions attractive, we have to have people apply. And if they're making more money as a sergeant, they're not gonna apply.
And again, on the MML survey, a police lieutenant, which is a lower rank, it's a lesser rank, goes lieutenant, captain, and major. The average pay is $89,000, which is significantly higher than both of these Now, we know that we are gonna be less than the average because we have a smaller budget than other departments like Maplewood and Ladue, but that pushed up the average. But again, yeah.
It's just to give us a baseline, something to go off of for now.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, thank you.
And we
so
don't
much.
have to pass an entire pay plan to put these
Right.
salaries in position. Any other comments?
Excuse me,
Sure.
would these positions be through the department, officers that have been with the department for some time, and instead of us going out looking for someone else?
If I may.
Please.
The Police Department General Orders of the Missouri Police Chiefs Association specifies the length of time that a person has to be a commissioned police officer, tenured with the department, and have held a rank in a supervisory capacity for so long. So for the position of major, they have to be 7 years with the department, 5 years as a supervisor, sergeant, and up.
Right.
And then preferably a minimum of 10 years of law enforcement experience. And then captain is comparative, where it's 5 and 3 and 5.
Do we have, in our HR and our police manual, do we have that information there?
It's in the Missouri Police, it's in the Police Chiefs Association General Orders Manual that lines out how the officers actually compete for these positions, who can apply. And we had begun the process for promotion last year when Chief Hall departed. But in accordance with the accreditation and trying to keep us in line with what the state expects us to do, we're just trying to follow the policies that we have and fill the positions that are open by policy.
Thank you.
As a piggyback, do we have any other major gaps then, Chief, that would need to be looked at sooner rather than later? Like gaps in how Normandy has operated?
So historically, what we're doing is, I've kind of started something called Back to the Basics, where if it's not broke, let's not try to reinvent the wheel. I've tried to use some creative strategies to realign the patrol division to get more bang for your buck. Less police officers, but more concise levels of patrol and enforcement. So we will be filling some lower positions, and we'll also be looking at some DEA and ATF, FBI detachments, which are revenue generators for police departments, as well as resource generators, where we can pull in federal resources at no cost to the city when we have major scale crimes or drug houses and things that require federal levels of intervention. But outside of, like in the upper echelon, in the salaried employees, no. This will fill the long-standing void, and it will give me an opportunity to lead.
Yeah, you just sent out that Excel spreadsheet with the officers a month or so ago, remember?
Yes, I gave you guys a command chart.
Yeah.
So that's up for discussion tomorrow at the supervisors meeting. And hopefully we've got some people in the academy. We just interviewed another round of people. We have 2 potential people that received additional offers. And we're trying to be extremely selective about our vetting process like we used to be, despite, some of the lapses in pay, to make sure that we're attracting good candidates. And, one of these things, I think the promotional process is a morale booster for people, so they can kind of see we're getting back on track and getting organized again.
Okay, since Chief is speaking, is it okay for us to give a report at this point? Mayor, is that okay?
I don't have an objection with that.
Well, we're already in the middle of a.
Yeah, that's an agenda.
Yeah.
We'd have to amend the agenda. Let's, let her address this issue.
Okay.
All right, any other comment on this? Anybody? We have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor of adopting resolution 23-18?
We can have.
You have a question?
Yeah. So, do we have to have a major and a captain?
By general order, it's been established for many, many years, yes.
But for many, many years, but for the
I
department
mean,
outside.
our size, I'm looking at the city,
Yes.
the part of our city, and the other cities that on the same size as Normandy. Do we have the chief? Do we have the major? Do we have a captain?
Well, I'm gonna let Chief Sanders answer that, but I will tell you, we don't have the position of lieutenant, because the captain is doing the administrative duties of captain and doing the supervision of the patrol division, so it's kind of a combined position. But go ahead.
we've actually eliminated quite a few ranks around here to kind of save the city some money, and again, creatively look at a command structure. Normandy Police Department's command structure is actually quite similar to all the agencies that surround us that are similarly situated in size. The only difference between us and other agencies is our pay. It's significantly lower than other agencies our size. So when you think about a command chart and the way the structure works, your major is actually your assistant chief of police. So in my absence, they have the helm. They take the entire city and every member of this city underneath them, and they're responsible for all happenings and all goings-on. Specifically tonight, I couldn't be in two places at one time, so I was someplace else and then I came here. It divides the workload and it divides the presence of the command staff, and it also gives the person by policy, there has to be divisions of separation for investigative type of interpersonal, or I'm trying to think of the right word, I don't know, my words never escape me. It's for internal affairs investigations, and the person that does those things has to be separate from the chief of police. It's not your detectives bureau. The major is actually the division commander of the support services division, which is your detectives, your detachments, your school. They're in charge of all support services personnel. Then you have your person that's over the patrol division. When we have a 16 to 20 man anticipated patrol division, that person is responsible for the day-to-day operations of how this patrol division moves about the city. They're responsible for day-to-day housekeeping, vehicles, purchasing, fuel, budgeting, equipment purchases, necessities. So there are two administrative purposes. There are two different wheelhouses, but they both have a job description that's pages and pages and pages long. And that's a workload that you can't just divide between one or two people. Yes, sir.
I do agree with Councilman Jackson. We're in a 24-1. We have 4 police departments in our 24-1 footprint. Is there 4 agencies?
Correct.
Yes. So in those 4 agencies, is it possible we can get their everyday operations and who is in charge with them and how they're running?
I can tell you the North County Police Cooperative, if you all Google them right now, they have their entire command staff on their website. It says meet our command staff, and there's about 7 or 8 members of their command staff. You'll have 3.
If we can kind of correlate with them and see.
If you go online right now to the North County Police Cooperative, which is the most similarly situated in size, they have the same amount of police contracts that we have. They provide a level of service to a constituency in Bonita Park that's actually lesser than Normandy proper. They have more than 7 members of their command staff. We will only have 3 members of command here. So we're actually substandard to those around us.
How many officers are in that agency?
The North County Police Cooperative is a tricky agency. They got 50 people listed on their post roster, but defining which ones are reserves and which one are full-time is hard to do.
Right, because
But every other agency up here is smaller than us. Bell North, they're a 4-man operation. Belva City is like 6 people. Hillsdale's 2 or 3 officers. So those are very small cities that oftentimes require mutual aid from the city of Normandy. And we provide free police service to their constituents and assistance to their officers under the St. Louis County Mutual Aid Agreement. So in this footprint, we are the biggest stakeholder.
Moreover, I think it's important to note, though, that if we do have a major and a captain in place to handle more of the administrative functions, which, number one, that's a little bit of oversight to you and your functions, also a handoff to you and your functions, but that also gives the Normandy Police Department as an organization greater input and insight into how we want our police officers to conduct themselves in the community. We've been asking for positive community engagement, positive policing. You can't have that without the hierarchy and support structure.
A great example that I can give you guys, like what you're saying, Councilman Hong, community-oriented policing. I used to be over community-oriented policing, but I'm also recruitment, I'm also retention. One woman can't wear 35 hats. I can't write the grants, I can't come to all the meetings, I can't go to all the community functions and plan the community functions and staff the community functions and go out to the SLAPCA meetings and go to the state of Missouri. I can only be in so many places at one time. This offers more levels like you would see in a paramilitary organization where there's line and structure where a policeman reports directly to the sergeant. And then over the sergeant is responsible to 4 officers underneath them, like you saw in the command chart, but they also have a boss, which is the patrol division commander. So when we're getting those citizen complaints, day to day, Monday through Friday, there is a supervisor that citizens can come in and talk to about complaints of police officer misconduct, whether or not they want additional patrols. There's that first line, front line supervisor that's the head of the house for the patrol division. I can't, right now, I'm the head of the support division, the patrol division. People come in every day and ask us to demand to meet with me. I field citizen complaints, it's a lot.
Well, I have a question. Do you have the diagram of the org of the Normandy Police Department right at this moment?
I can grab it off my desk, I have one.
Okay.
There, he's got it right in front of him.
Oh, thank you.
And I will tell you,
Because I was looking for
when that was created, there was a lot, there was quite a few conversations with chiefs.
Okay, now, I'm
Go ahead.
saying this, but I want to see the actual personnel, who's in what position, and what position is.
Oh, well, number one, the major and the captain there was an open position, so I would never put names in there because it's an independent
No,
bias
you
process.
can just put,
But policemen,
yeah, you can just put open position or closed position. You don't have to put names.
I'll give you the breakdown. If you're looking
Yeah.
at it right now, you see it, major and
Yeah,
captain.
I'm looking at it, but there's no names.
Oh, no,
You
I'm
just-
gonna help you just to get a visual representation. So major and captain, those are both open positions.
Okay, like these two positions,
So-
okay, we know that they're open, so just leave those open.
So I
And
can,
closed, you don't have to put any names.
give me 1 second. I can just bring you an organizational chart that I circled today. And I circled every open position. There's 8 open positions in the police department right now.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yep, there's 8.
Chief,
And there's 4 people, 2 in the academy and 2 potential hires. So hopefully we'll be down to 4.
No, we're not counting them right now, it's just what we have right now.
2 of them are hired. They're being paid while they're in the academy, so.
right, I mean, I'm just gonna go back a few years to.
Sure.
I understand that with one time, maybe a few years ago, we had 33 officers. We had a major, a chief, and we had captains and several detectives.
Correct, and sergeants, and
Yes,
corporals.
yes, 33. Now we're down to 20 officers, right?
Roughly, yes, sir.
Roughly 20 hours. Oh, so we need manpower.
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure our officers working 16-hour days.
Everyone's still working 12-hour shifts unless the
Yes.
schedule mitigates, they get a late call. So the officers are still in 12-hour shifts.
So we need help, we definitely.
Well, we
need
do,
help.
yes.
Yeah, so I do understand. But, we do need to, we just need to work on getting our agency,
Staffed,
yes.
and I'm recruiting at the academies too.
Well,
That's
I
where we
will
got
tell
the
you,
most
I-
recent
I-
round of people.
I'm asking that the council pass this because this is gonna go a long way to reestablishing a professional police department that has the administrative support that's required to get us back on our feet. So we've got a motion, we've got a second. All in favor of adopting resolution 23-18?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah,
All right, we got 2 opposed.
I'm opposed also.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Saxonhammer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
No,
Councilman Evans?
no,
Councilman Nelson?
Not at this time.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. And any concerns that the no votes have, please see me and I'll get you additional information.
well, that's the information that I needed there.
Yeah, I can get
I
that.
mean, okay, because see here, you're just showing me a blank list.
2 more.
Yeah, I'm happy to get
Which
that. for you.
positions are filled?
We never.
Just say
Yeah,
open
we can
or closed.
build that together.
Yeah,
I mean,
please do.
Yeah, I can do
Because
that.
this is something I can get off the internet.
I
and
You know, the
print it out.
accreditation mandate doesn't put names on it, for that comes
Well,
directly from the
no, you're not understanding. I didn't say I wanted names. I just said if you can put open or closed.
That's not a
You know,
problem. I just say that
well,
came
just give me a
directly
little bit
from the
more than
town
what I'm
board.
looking at now.
You'll take care of that, chief?
Yes.
That's fine.
Thank you.
You know,
So we're getting ready to have two
Yep.
more
Yeah.
top-heavy officers, and we don't even have patrolling. That's a smart-
Understood. No, there's a valid concern.
That's a smart move.
All right, last item on the agenda. This came up last minute regarding the construction of the USDA project next door. It's kind of in the weeds, but there's sewer issues, runoff issues. They have to stay in compliance with the Metro Sewer. Go ahead, Sam.
Point of order, discussion and pay plan is listed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got the old agenda, so I was going on my recollection of what was next. Discussion of the city pay plan, and I'll let you lead that, Sam.
Sure, and
Wanted to see this.
generally, open-ended discussions on a regular session meeting, we try to avoid, but given that we had a workshop last time, there was a lot of information, and we're going to go ahead and draft a proposed pay plan to present to council at the June meeting. I just wanted to give an update, given some of the feedback that we received from council. We are gonna build a plan that works based off of, rewards employees having certain certifications and merit as well, and have a merit element in the pay plan. And basically how the pay plan will look, it will establish a step and grade system for employees, and it will establish all the job descriptions for the employees, which I think kind of goes into some of the things you guys were getting into the police department, as well as an organizational chart. And then it will establish how employees move up the pay scale. And one of those elements will be how they rate on their performance evaluation, which goes hand in hand with how their job description, because you evaluate them on how they're doing on their duties that are listed on their job description. So I just wanted to give council that update, and then offer if there were any questions from the workshop, that if you've had time to review the material, or any additional feedback that you'd like to give ahead of the proposed pay plan. So.
Thank you. And it's just, go ahead.
Will there be, a time, so like at an employee's annual review, will it be established that they need to document or give documentation of certifications that they, like, during that year have gained?
So currently, there's nothing written into personnel policy requiring that. That is something we could look into. I will say, if it's any training that's done on the city's time, which there a lot of trainings are, trainings we send them to, any certifications do get added to their personnel record when they're received. So
if they do an outside training that we don't know about, will they be allowed the opportunity to add that as a part of their evaluation of merit?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a given, but we can add that to the performance evaluation.
So Sam, this is part of a human resource, pretty much? Is this like human resources?
Yeah, the pay plan is part of the personnel system, the human resource system of the city.
We don't have any of that in place as of now?
We currently, so a lot of what is provided for the pay plan is established in the personnel policy manual. It just hasn't been enforced very well or implemented very well over the past 20 years. And if you're gonna do it right, which...
Can we see it?
You have actually the personnel manual is a part of your packet tonight.
Okay.
So this is on page 9 and 10 of the personnel manual.
Okay.
So will the play plan, will this be a draft or the final?
This would be a draft.
Okay.
Oh, it would be a first reading ordinance.
Well, and we had a lot of conversation about this. There's two ways of doing it. People can walk up the pay scale on seniority, or they can walk up the pay scale on seniority plus certifications plus performance evaluations. Now, the latter is a lot more work, but I thought, my input to Sam was, I think you need to incorporate performance and certifications. It's a more difficult plan to implement, but I think people should be rewarded for good work.
And I'll add, kind of, it's not necessarily, it's difficult because it's more work. It's difficult to do right, because if you have a merit system and people aren't putting full effort into it, then it just becomes you give your raise to your friends. But, so there's a lot of regulations and practices that you have to put in step to make sure that it's implemented right. And so that will all be part of the pay plan.
Everybody good with the direction we're trying to go with this? Any input, anything you'd like to see implemented, added to a pay plan? We've got some people here with some HR experience.
Yeah.
I need to look at it some more.
All right. All right.
Because this is just first reading, right?
Well, we don't have a first reading.
Not even that.
Sam hasn't written anything. He's
Okay.
waiting for us to give him guidance on what we want to see before the first draft is even written. So,
Let's just discuss.
You need a motion?
we don't need a motion. We just, if there's any input, if what he has described is what you're looking for, we'll move forward.
Yeah, let's move forward.
All right?
Side note though, for Sam and Kiana, if you would, on page 15 of the personnel handbook, we have 8.1 political activities. We have the terms her/her listed. I believe it should be his and her performance.
Thank you.
Yeah, just slight grammatical.
Appreciate it.
That's been there for 13 years.
Yeah. Like I said, I tried reading through this twice. It's literally what I do every day.
All right, let's move on.
My job, so.
Last item on the agenda is a temporary slope construction license. What it is permission for USDA LLC to come onto the Normandy property and work on the swale and the runoff that comes off that property. And it's already a creek where they're talking about working. And you've got a diagram right here, what they want to do. But they can't come on our property and work on this MSD work that they need to do without our permission. So this gives them temporary license to come onto our property, to do the works necessary to manage the water runoff.
Understood.
And this can be adopted by motion. Is there a motion to grant temporary slope construction license to Normandy USDA LLC for the purpose of construction erosion control measures?
I'll make a motion.
Order, please. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Any questions about what we're doing here? Concerns? All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you, Chief.
All righty. At this time, if there's any citizens' comments, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Hearing none, we'll move on.
There's
Oh, please.
There's 3 on that list, and I thought it had go in order.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know the list was signed. I didn't
thought it was from
understand.
earlier.
Yeah, that was from earlier.
Earlier. You good.
Okay. Please come up, yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am Joyce McGrath, 7727 Nokomis Drive. And 3 things actually. So I would like personally, I missed the election, the swearing in, but I would like to have that copy in writing. You know, words matter and oaths matter, because if you think about number 45 did an oath and he didn't really live up to it. So I'd like to see that. It might be on the website. I don't know if it is. That's fine. So, just like to see what you all was swore to do. That's one. The vacant properties, number 2. Where will those funds go once it's sold? That like goes back to the general fund or something for Normandy?
That's correct.
Okay. And why do y'all sell them so cheap?
Well, all right, go ahead with your comments and I'll address any questions that you...
Okay. So that's that. And 3, I think we addressed how large our PD is. So 20 people, is that right? You said 20 personnel?
Roughly 21 sworn personnel on the streets in the investigative unit, but right now, that's how many we presently have. We should ideally be at 28
At 28, okay. And how many vehicles do we have?
in service.
Mm-hmm.
We can discuss that after. I can take you out.
Yeah,
and show you.
Okay.
just go.
Just drive over there and look.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
could just
I
take
thought
you
it-
out.
Let me just explain the citizens' comments. You could say anything you want, but we can't engage in a conversation and,
Gotcha.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so that's that. And lastly, this is the sad part, but whatever happened, the young man that died on the, cutting the tree? I mean, citizens never got any information. I don't know when his funeral was, nothing. I mean, I just don't know how are we communicating to citizens about anything that's going on in Normandy. Unless you come to this meeting, you don't really find out anything. I mean, I do through my council persons, but the community at large, we don't have a newsletter, we know nothing, so.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I will address the newsletter. We've had one, we're gonna have a summer newsletter. And what was your other question? I'm sorry.
The lots.
Oh,
Back to the
lots.
lots, yeah.
We had a lot of conversations about that, and the council, and I agreed, very much agreed, we were happy to give those lots away to homeowners that wanted to take care of them. And if they're willing to pay a couple $100 for them, they're willing to take care of them. So they're gonna be paying the taxes on them, maintaining them, it got them off our books. We've been mowing them for years. And like I say, there was one program, it's Adopt a Lot, that we chose not to go with, where you just give them away. We thought this was even better than that. The more interested party was gonna get that lot by offering a minimum price for the lots.
Okay, didn't know, learned a lot tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. McGrath.
Anyone else? At this time, I would like a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personnel issue. Is there a motion? There's a motion. Is there a second? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland? Yes. Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman
She's
Evans?
used to saying, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
All righty, thank you, everyone. If you don't mind, we're taking a brief break, and I'm going to sign these resolutions and so that, yeah, I can get right on it in the morning.